The vision, if you like, behind Zopa, which 5 years ago was ludicrous, and even now is quite ludicrous, but I still think is very powerful, is that people can trust people with money. So at the time, if I asked my 4-year-old son Robin, draw me a picture of a bank, he would draw a box, and he would draw probably crosses on the windows and a safety deposit box in the corner, and write bank above the door. And we had this sort of fanciful notion that, what if people could trust people with money? Surely that would be a better way. And the reason for that is an awful lot of what banks do, and quite rightly, because people want their money looked after, but actually banks construct themselves to prevent against the 0.2% of people who are bad, rather than the 99.8% of people that are good. And we kind of thought, well, what if you constructed an organisation out of a vision of people could trust people with money? Then surely that will be able to tap into things in a very different way. When we launched, and this will sound very naive, we suddenly worked out we didn't have a product. Actually, all we had was a marketplace, and much like if you set up a market, you declare a high street's going to become a market, unless people selling apples and oranges and fruit and veg and meat and cheese and what have you show up, then there ain't going to be anything to buy. And unless people come and try and buy, then there ain't going to be any sellers there to sell. And it was all about creating the conditions whereby those people kind of came together. And we found a really important part of it was community. So right from day one, we went to enormous lengths to make ourselves a very open and a very transparent community. So in the very early days, those people that were willing to lend, were clearly taking risk. We were a new business with a new idea. You're going to lend through this. So the very early lenders, we gave them equity in the company. We gave them stock in a company to encourage them to do that. Right from day one. And I guess today it might sound not that novel, but actually it still is within financial services. We had a blog, we had a discussion board, we had an open discussion board where people could post up whatever they wanted. Imagine a big bank having an open discussion board where people could moan or do whatever they do. It just wouldn't happen because compliance and what have you would just get up and close it down. And that was critical because what we found through time, as you might expect, was those people that were sort of, if you like, fans of Zopa actually almost took on our customer service for us. So we do very little moderation or even participation on those boards right now, actually as our members. And they actually help recruit people because new people come in and sort of say, oh, I'm not sure, it's a bit risky, is it? And they'll explain why it's not. They answer their questions. They're the source of a hell of a lot of our new good ideas. So we did things like we reduced the number of markets, we reduced the number of the amount of time that people could lend to. We created a slightly different version of Zopa in which people could pick individuals that they wanted to lend to. So we also have a system where borrowers can come in and effectively pitch directly. So you basically say, hello, I'm James. I want to borrow £5,000 because I don't know, my child is ill and I need to put them through some medical care. I want to do this now, I don't want to do it on the NHS. And you can basically write your story, you can write any information that you want to share. We'll then go off and do all of the checks and validation. And then lenders can come in and actually, if you like, bid to borrow on that specific person. So rather than spreading their money across lots, they can actually pick single things. So again, that sort of idea of passion lending, and that came from our members, that didn't come from us, all the way through to really geeky things like the matching algorithm. So actually, how is it that you match lenders and borrowers in what order, and how does it work out and at what price? And so we changed our matching algorithm following a sort of long debate with consumers. And we also got some things wrong. So after a year, we decided to change pricing. And we kind of just launched that, and stupidly, I hadn't taken the time to have that as a conversation with them, and we got absolutely slammed, and probably quite rightly. And so I think where we did sort of stray off the sort of transparent and open and honest and upfront, you learn pretty quickly that's not a good path to stray off. So just opening up, I mean, it's an obvious thing to do, and lots of good companies do it now. But in financial services, it's still like, why would you do that? And for us, it seemed nuts. You know, why on earth would you put a barrier between yourself and the people that are using you when actually the job to do is to open up as many communication channels to those people as possible, and absorb that information and work with them and help them as much as possible. So we took enormous care with being open. So, and again, we were small, so we could do it, but gave out, you know, personal phone numbers, and we would go to pubs and meet people in the evening and travel around the country and have member evenings, and, you know, lo and behold, people showed up, which was amazing. On our first birthday, people brought presents into the office for us. Incredible. Absolutely bizarre and lovely. And then ongoing, we now have member evenings, and it's this wonderful thing of actually just sort of seeing this online community be real. And I think, you know, they all recognise that they're getting value out of being part of that community, and that's really at the core of Zopa, is actually nourishing and continuing to allow that community to speak with one another.